Meantime, Zimbabwean nationals living in South Africa are facing a crucial deadline today. Those who haven't yet applied for a waiver to transition from Zimbabwean Exemption Permit to alternative visas must do so before the end of today. The ZEP is a special permit allowing eligible Zimbabwean nationals to reside and work legally in South Africa. Let's speak now to the Managing Director at Xpatweb, that is Marisa Jacobs. Marisa, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. What does this deadline mean, considering that last year already there was an announcement by the then Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, that there will be a 2-year extension of the ZEP?
Correct. So, good morning, Aldrin. Good morning, everyone. So this deadline is in effect that extension which the Minister then announced. So today is the last day within which valid ZEP holders who have not yet applied for any other type of visa. Today is the last day that they can officially apply for that extension of the ZEP permit for the further 1 year, which will be 29 November 2025. Yes, so they must do so today. If they don't do so today, then their visa will effectively, or their permit, ZEP permit, will effectively expire today, and they will need to make other arrangements for permits.
So this is no different to that initial, remember initially when the announcement was made by Cabinet that the ZEP will come to an end, and then the holders were told that apply for alternative visas or otherwise at the end of the deadline. If you did not apply for those visas, your stay in South Africa will be terminated. Your legal stay in South Africa will be terminated. And then there was that 1-year grace period that was also granted. Is that the same thing?
Correct. So that's that 1-year grace period comes to an end today in terms of making use of that 1-year grace period. So the 1-year grace period comes to an end today.
Okay, the 1-year grace period comes to an end today. What happens after today if you haven't applied for a ZEP waiver?
So if you haven't applied for a ZEP waiver, you haven't applied for a mainstream visa, or you haven't applied to have your ZEP permit renewed for a further year, you would have to exit South Africa. Otherwise, you would be in South Africa illegally.
Sure, just point blank clear like that. That's it.
Correct. Yes. So there have been many options presented. There have been many opportunities to apply for visas, and we always knew at some point that that deadline would come where it would ultimately end, unless, of course, there was a further extension granted, which up until now, as we speak, we have not seen.
Yeah, well, some organizations have argued because of some of the delays which have been caused by Home Affairs, therefore there should be an extension, another extension of the deadline, or instead what should happen is that the ZEP holders should get a permanent residence status. What's your view into that particular aspect? So
absolutely, there's been massive backlash in all instances into backlog. So even as we speak now, any ZEP holder or any other visa holder for that matter who has an application pending has a concession until the 31st of December to remain in the country, to continue to legally work, to legally study, or legally continue their activities until the 31st of December. And we, of course, anticipate that if there's any further delays in the processing of visas, that concession will be further extended. The latest news from the Minister's office is that they are 80% through that backlog that he inherited when he took office. So they are still anticipating that they will clear the backlog before the end of the year. And of course, if they don't, we anticipate that there will be further extension.
Yeah, so if you are a ZEP holder, if you go today to go and make this application for a waiver or any of the other alternative visas, does that mean that while that application is being processed, that your stay in the country would be deemed legal?
Correct, correct. So you will get a receipt to show that you have an application pending, and while that application is pending, you can absolutely legally remain in the country. So the backlog and Home Affairs' inefficiency in terms of processing the applications timeously does not impact on anyone who's legally made these steps to renew a visa.
Yeah. What happens after next year, after November 2025? After the end of this additional extension that was granted?
That is, of course, the big question. That is the big question that faces us now. We know that there were 178,000 legal ZEP holders. We know that many of them have made use of the opportunity to transition to mainstream visas, which was the original intention of ending the ZEP permit regime. So many of them have applied for either critical skills visas, applied for waivers to progress to a general work visa, applied for spousal visas where they are married to South African citizens. So those ZEP holders who've made those applications, they are now, of course, out of the ZEP regime. They are now normal visa holders. So then we look at those who have not made use of the opportunity. So those who have applied to extend their ZEP permit by a further year. It's those ZEP holders that continue to be in limbo because of the uncertainty of what is going to happen on the 29th of November. Will the new minister re-look at the ZEP regime? Will he decide to extend it further? We, of course, know that there have been many legal battles around it, all lost by the Department of Home Affairs, and that's why we have these extensions where the court has asked Home Affairs to consult before they make any further decisions. So that is the big question as we wait in anticipation to see over the next 12-month period what decision will be made in terms of those who've decided to remain on the ZEP status and whether they'll be granted further extension or whether this will be a hard deadline and we will not see a ZEP permit in future.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Marisa Jacobs there, Managing Director at Xpatweb, and this is on the application for the waivers that ZEP holders would have to make by today. Otherwise, their stay in the country will be deemed unlawful.